Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday Night Live with independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator Teresa Harper. I am located in Oregon in the United States, and I'm so happy that you've joined me tonight. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get Facebook up so that I can see your comments, see who's on, and get this going. Okay, let's see if we can find the stream here. Not so. Let's try this way. Sometimes that works. It says I'm live. All right, let's get that up and there. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Jennifer. Thanks so much for joining me. My little chair is driving me crazy tonight because it does not want to stay at the right height. My office chair. It just keeps floating down. Okay, let's talk about some updates while we're waiting for everyone to get in here. For those of you who are Paper Pumpkin subscribers or thinking about being Paper Pumpkin subscribers, Paper Pumpkin will be moving to the regular Stampin' Up! Online store beginning March 11th at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. So they're going to close down the paperpumpkin.com site at 11:59 p.m. on March 10th, and then they will bring the Paper Pumpkin into the online store beginning March 11th at 8 a.m. Now, that's not the prepaid. Prepaid is already in the online store, but this will be the regular month-to-month subscription. And then the other thing that Stampin' Up! Is telling us that they're going to do is they're going to update the online store here coming soon, where you will be able to, when you click on a product, it will tell you if it has coordinating pieces that go with it. So that'll be kind of nice. That way, if there's a stamp set or a die set you're looking at and you don't realize that it has a coordinating piece that goes with it, the website will indicate to you that it does have a coordinating product. So that'll be nice because then people who don't realize there's a bundle available at a discount will be able to see that there is a bundle available. Okay, so tonight for our first project, actually both projects, we're going to be using the Everyday Arches dies. These are currently on back order, stop sell at the moment, but they are due back in next week on March 3rd. So I'm going to go ahead and show them to you today. And we're going to make a couple of cards using these. We're also going to be using the Everyday Arches stamp set on one. And then we're going to be using the Happy Hibiscus bundle. This is a hybrid bundle. Comes with stamps, dies, and a hybrid embossing folder, which I have here somewhere, right here. And if you're not familiar with a hybrid embossing folder, what that is it's a 3D folder, and then you have a coordinating die that goes into the hybrid folder, and you can emboss and die cut in one pass. And we are going to do that tonight. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We've got a lot to cover, and one of our cards I think will take us a bit of time, so let's get moving and get this all done. Hello, Tracy. I thought you had a Zoom meeting. I wasn't expecting you. Okay, so let's grab our packet of supplies that we need here. Okay, so in addition to those items that I just showed you, we're also going to be using the Celebration Starstruck embossing folder. If you didn't get this one and you still need to place an order, which Celebration ends on February 28th, I would not wait until the last minute of the last day, because who knows what's going to happen with the website. You can get this free with a $60 purchase. It can be a choice. We're also going to be using the Full of Life 6x6 Designer Series paper. And I have done a lot of the die cutting on that for us already. And here is a piece of paper that I used. I cut out a bunch of leaves. I cut out some flowers. And all of these pieces come from the Happy Hibiscus dies. Okay, so we're going to be using those. We are going to need this die though, because I'm going to show you how that works in case you're not familiar with it. And then, let's see, we're going to start with, we've got a card base, a berry burst. This is a standard A2 card size, 5.5 by 8.5. I've scored it in the middle at 4 1/4, and I have already run this through the die cut machine. And in order for you to be successful running this through your die cut machine on a full cardstock base, what you need to do is put your card base in the folder. I like to turn mine with the Stampin' Up! Logo this way so that I can line it up on the black line. And then I line this up right along the edge. Close this up. This is not a 3D folder, so when you put this through your machine, you'll put it with base plate 1, a clear acrylic plate, your cardstock and embossing folder, and another clear embossing plate on the top, and you have to run it through sideways. You need to make sure that especially this edge does not rub along the side of your machine, because you will break that spine if you continually rub it. So do this at your own risk. If you don't want to risk your folder, then take a 5 3/8 by 4 1/8 piece of cardstock and emboss that in the folder and add it to your card base. I did edge to edge. So we have that. I've taken a piece of basic black cardstock and basic white cardstock, and I've used die number 3 for the basic white and die number 4, or die number 2 for the black. So, and I'm coming from the largest. So this is second to the largest and third to the largest. And I just ran those through my die cut machine to save us some time. So let's set those aside. We don't need those at the moment. And let's get our stamping and other die cutting done. And then we'll get this card put together so we can move to the one that has a little bit more, that's a little bit more time consuming. I'm going to take a piece of the Full of Life 6x6 Designer Series paper. This is in the annual catalog. And then I'm going to take the large 3-flower hibiscus from the Happy Hibiscus set. And we're going to get some Berry Burst cardstock, or actually we're using Petunia Pop ink. And we're going to ink this up. Okay, I'm going to give that a good inking. Let me set that down so it doesn't get into anywhere. And then I'm just going to set this on my paper how I want it. Okay, leaving enough of a border so I can cut it with the die right here. Okay, so I'm letting that soak into my paper so I have a nice clean image. Okay, so we've got that. This is the way I like to do this 3D embossing folder. I'm going to go ahead and chop this off because I do not need all of this. So I'm just gonna chop off what I don't need, making sure that I leave enough so I can cut what I need to. Hang on, I left the ink pad open and that is a disaster waiting to happen. So the way I like to use the embossing folder is I like to take my die and set this down how I want it to die cut my flowers. I'm going to take a little bit of mint tape and tape that down. Okay. And then I'm going to take my embossing folder and with the Stampin' Up! Logo, I'm going to open this up and I'm going to lay this in my embossing folder and line it up. And this should just drop in here, actually. There we go. I think it dropped. Maybe not. But this way, see, I've got it lined up. I can feel that it locked in. My paper's right in place. I can take and squeeze that shut. And then I've got the wrong stack in my cut and emboss machine. So let's bring in the big boss. You must have a bigger machine for this folder. Then we're going to use plate 1. Put in our folder with the spine forward going into the machine first. And we do that so that we don't break our spine, because this is going to put pressure on the spine and the air can come out this end if we roll it this direction, which saves our folder. Okay, so just keep some good pressure on that, and then I can roll this through. Okay, and when I'm finished, I have a piece of mint tape that wants to stick to me. Now when I open this up, my pieces are cut and embossed. I didn't have to fuss with how I put it in the machine. I do have to be careful pulling off my tape though, because it is really stuck down with that, because I embossed it. I should have used a smaller piece of tape, but this mint tape pulls off rather easy, and I've used this particular piece multiple times. So now I've got my 3 flowers, or I think I do. Oh, there they are. Now I can pull this off. I can use this piece to cut more flowers later if I wish to. And I can put this piece away so I don't lose it. Okay, let's get these things out of our way. We're done with those for now. And now our flower is good to go. I want to do one last thing with this flower. I want to add a little bit more texture to the stamen. So I'm going to take some Berry Burst ink and a blending brush. And I'm just going to go over the very top of the stamen and darken up that ink from the petunia pop. Okay, so those pieces are ready to go. Now with the pieces that I die cut ahead of time from the same Full of Life Designer Series paper, I've cut, excuse me, 3 of the larger leaves. I'm not going to use all these pieces. One of this leaf. I stamped and die cut these. Okay, and I stamped in Shy Shamrock ink. And then die cut those on the Full of Life paper. Give me 1 second here. I've got to excuse me. dry spots in the back of my throat. And then I also cut several of these little flowers. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull those in. But I don't need that piece, so I'm going to set that back in here. Yet, these pieces I won't need. These are the pieces that I will need. Let me go ahead and wipe off that little bit of ink I have there with my chamois that came with my Glass Mat Studio. Now's a good time to get a Glass Mat Studio because the Glass Mat Studio just happens to be $60, which earns you a free celebration choice. Okay, so now we're going to bring in the Everyday Arches stamp set. And I'm going to bring in a stamping platform. And my white arch that I have here. I'm going to put this down. And I think if I put it right here, I think this is already set up and it will work. We'll give it a test though before we actually ink. And I have a bit of a spot on my card there. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I think if nope, that is not going to work. Oh, I think I had to have it down a little bit more. So we're going to pull this up. If you've never used a stamping platform, I'm just going to set this up how we want it on our card. Okay. And then I'm just going to make sure this is all tucked in the corner. Pick that up with the platform door. And then we're going to take the Berry Burst ink again. We're going to ink this up. Berry Burst. And then we're just going to give it a good press. The nice thing about the platform is we're not happy with it. Then all we have to do is open the door and re-ink it. Okay. And we're going to do that because I've got a couple of spots that are not quite full. So this allows you to put the stamp exactly where you want it. And if you didn't get a nice, clean, crisp image, then you can restamp. Okay. Just going to let that soak into the paper. All right, there we go. Now we've got a nice clean image. We'll remove that. Put our cover back on there. I'm going to clean this real quick because I don't want ink everywhere. And that's what will happen if I don't clean it right away. Okay, so we'll set that aside because we are finished with that. And now our piece is ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and add our white to our black. And I'm just going to do that with some Stampin' Seal. Okay. Just line that up. And because these are just one size down from each other, they'll line up beautifully. And then we're going to start adding our flowers. So we're going to put a flower here. I'm going to pick these, whichever leaves I think I want here. That's why I cut out a bunch because I can pick and choose what I would like to do. Okay. So let's take a look at this. Well, let's make this easier on ourselves, shall we? I like to take these when I'm working with them. Take a glue dot and join the two together to make one. So much easier to work with a one piece than two. So then we'll place this down here like this. Okay, so right now I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Get some liquid glue. And this is just the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue that I have put into a fine tip bottle, which you can find on Amazon. Okay, so we've got that leaf. Notice how I'm leaving the leaf up. I only put glue at the bottom. And with these, I'm going to save myself a lot of trouble. And I'm just going to put a glue dot on the back of that. And then we'll stick this under here. Kind of like that. I'm going to put a dimensional in the center of the large flower here. Actually, I'm going to add two. Side by side. And then I can put this back down here. Now that's kind of pretty just like it is. But let's take it a little step further. And hopefully, I haven't pressed that down hard. We're going to build some flowers here. So we're going to take these three large flowers, get some glue dots. Let's decide what we want to put where first. Do I want that or this? I think I want this. Okay, and then we will put our glue dots on these. And then we're going to add these to the larger ones. And I'm just going to offset that a bit. Okay, we'll do the same over here. We'll offset it a bit. And finally this one. Like so. And then I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. I'm going to push those out of the way because I'm not using them. Grab these three. And I am going to take the tip of my Take Your Pick tool and press down on those in the center. Okay. And then, let's see, we're going to put this one here. Put a little bit of glue on the back of here. Put this one here. Right up here, just a touch right there. And again, we're going to put some liquid glue right in the center here. And remember, with the Tombow, it's just a dot, not a lot. Okay, and go ahead and press those down in the center. And then before we get too far, let's take some of the In Color Shimmer Gems. And we're going to add a couple of these. So I'm going to use the Peach Pie here and here. Actually, wait a minute. I want the peach pie here. I'm going to lift this one. It kind of gets lost in there. So let's take that out, and let's take the petunia pop and put it in the center here where we'll get a little bit more contrast, and those centers will pop out a bit more. Okay, so now we're ready to add this to our card. So we'll bring back in our card base, and we're just going to add this in here. And because this is a embossed piece, I like to use liquid glue. I like to get into all those nooks and crannies so that I can be assured that my card is going to hold together well. Okay, I'm going to just lay this down flat like this, center it up as best we can, give that a press. I'm going to go from the other side, take my bone folder, make sure I've got good contact there, and we are ready to do the inside of our card. So for that, we're going to take one of those other flowers that we had. We're going to take one of these, and we're going to take another leaf, and we're going to add this in here like this. I did not add a sentiment to the inside of this card because you can be simply fantastic for quite a few different occasions. And until I know what I'm going to be using this for, I decided to leave the inside blank because I could add happy birthday. I could add a thank you. I could add a congratulations, good job. This could even be a graduation card if I so choose. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll put this in here. Give that a press. Close up the glue bottle so my glue doesn't dry. And here is our matching envelope. Okay, so there is project number 1, using the new Everyday Arches along with the older Happy Hibiscus, which Happy Hibiscus is an online exclusive from November. Not really that old, that long ago, but it needed a little bit of love in my craft room, so here we are today. Okay, so let's get on with our next project. I hope you enjoyed that. And we will learn a new technique to me, or something that I have recently just tried and thought was pretty wonderful. Hang on, let me put this die away, because we definitely don't want to lose that. Okay, and then we'll move these out of the way, and there we are. Okay, so for the next card, we're actually going to be making a shaped card, and we need a lot of ink pads for this one. So let's start with those. We've got Early Espresso, Garden Green, Daffodil Delight, Highland Heather, Pretty in Pink. I'm using Basic Gray, Balmy Blue, and Summer Splash. Okay, let's set those out of the way. And we're going to start with our technique. So we're going to take a piece of thick basic white, okay? And then I'm going to take one of the clear medium envelopes, and on the side that has the flap, I'm going to put that up. And then I'm going to bring in a spray bottle and an ink cube. Okay, so I've got balmy blue, and I'm just going to smoosh this down here like so. This gets a little bit messy. I don't want to get too carried away because I don't want this to be too bright. And then I'm going to give this a spritz. Okay, just to get that to run a bit. And I'm going to wipe up that water around it. Okay, then I'm going to take my piece of basic white and I'm going to smoosh it down. Smack it down on the paper. Move it. Flow it. Okay, so I've got that. Now I'm going to take and wipe that mess up a bit. I'm going to dry this off with my heat tool. And the Stampin' Up! Heat tool has two settings on it. I'm using the lowest setting, which is the drying setting. The higher setting, setting number 2, is for dry embossing. I'm just going to dry this off. I did not prepare a piece ahead of time, so we're using what we have. The beauty of this technique is that you never know what you're going to get until you're finished, and you will never get the same results twice. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Well, notice how I'm drying both sides. That helps with the warpage of the paper. And after all, this is not watercolor paper. Okay, so now we're going to take this same piece of acetate again. We're going to add a little bit more ink. We're going to spritz it again, not as much. And then I'm going to take this and touch it to the paper, spotting it here and there, looking to see what I've got here. Okay, and when I'm happy with that, then I can be finished. And I think I'm good with that, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe up my surface here and just wipe off my acetate. Okay, and then I can reuse my acetate. And again, we're going to go ahead and dry this. And you can just keep going back and forth until you're happy with the results. This does not look like the second piece that I did. The first piece that I didn't like at all, and it went into the trash. And I did not use the thick basic white, so my paper did not fare well with as much water as I initially used. It was just too much, and the paper didn't hold up very well. Okay, so now we've got this. All right, and this is going to become one of our focal pieces here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm going to break down the fibers of this paper just a little bit, which will help it lay a little bit splatter. Okay. So we're good with that. Now we're going to take this and we're going to take those arched dies. Yeah. Where did I put those arched dies? Did I put them in this other bin, which would have been crazy? No. Okay, where did I set the dies? There. I set my box on top of them. Okay, so in this case, we need the largest of the dies, and we're going to decide how we want this to sit. Okay, and I want a little bit more of the full blue and a little bit less of this, so I'm going to put this in my die cut machine like this. And we have to actually run 2 different pieces through the die cut machine. So we're going to grab this piece, and I'm going to put this on my stack here. Okay. I'm going to use a piece of mint tape just to hold that down. Okay, and then I'm going to run this through the machine. Bring that in. And again, you have to have the large machine for this. This one does not fit through the mini. And then I'm just going to die cut that out. Okay. And before we put that totally away, I'm going to pull this off, and then we're going to cut our card base. So we're just going to pull that tape off of there, which helped us get that. And this is going to be a piece we're going to use. We can keep this out because we need it. Here's a piece that we could use as a frame if we choose. I'm not. It's a little off-centered. Okay, so now we're going to take a balmy blue cardstock, card base. Again, this is the standard A2, 5.5 by 8.5. Let's make sure. Look, yeah, 5.5 by 8.5, scored in the center at 4.25. And I want to make this into a card. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on my card base like so. And then I'm going to pull this just so that you can see. On this particular die, you have a dotted edge and a solid cutting edge. I'm looking for the solid cutting edge to be on the opposite side of the fold. Okay, so once I get that positioned where I want it, okay, that looks good. Then I'm going to take some tape, and because I don't want that to move. If it moves, I won't achieve what I'm looking for. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and making sure that my cut line is outside the edge of the card base there. And then I'm going to put this into my die cut, or onto my sandwich, and run it through the die cut machine. Okay, and if I did it correctly, I might need to change my plates on this one. I'm going to run this through forward, and then once I hear that click, I'm going to run it back through because I'm trying to cut 2 pieces of cardstock at a time, not just one. I'm going through 2. And then I'm going to make sure that that cut entirely, which it did not. So I'm going to put this back in, but this time I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip this over like this, put my top plate down, turn it the other direction and run it back through, cut side up. And then I will be sure to get that cut. Okay. Oh, thanks, guys. I'm glad you liked that last card. Okay, so now we should be cut completely. Oh, in fact, we've even cut our tape, which is fine. So we'll lift this off, get rid of that piece. Very carefully lift off the tape. Okay. And get under that piece. Okay. And it's okay. I've got some marks from the tape here, which is fine. Because we're going to cover that. Okay, in fact, we're going to cover that with that piece we just made. But by doing that, well, let's get this to open up. Come on. Pull those pieces, and now we have an arch-shaped card. Okay? So we can take this piece now. We're going to use some liquid glue. I'm going to use the Tombow, the fatter side of this. And I'm just going to rub a good amount of glue on here. I don't want big splotches, and that's why I'm using this side, because I can flatten this all out. And because this is warped a little bit, it will help me get this to lay flat. And if you did not know that your Tombow glue has two sides, now you do. And this is what the second side is for. Okay? Gives you a wider application of glue, lets you thin it all out. And then we'll just put this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this upside down. And I'm going to line up the bottom corner. Because I don't care if this side lines up perfectly. Because this is the side that has the crease on it. But I do care about the top, the right-hand side, and the bottom. So that's why I started over here in this corner. And then when I open this up now, I have a full arch that's not been cut off. And I have a beautiful front side. Okay, now let's go ahead and decorate our card base. So we're going to bring in another basic white arch. And this one is not the next size down, but the third size down. Okay, so I used the largest, skipped, and then I used the third one. And we're going to go ahead and stamp on this. So we're going to grab a piece of scrap paper because I will be stamping off a little bit. And for this one, we're going to use the Pick a Season stamp set. This is a celebration set. Everybody should have this set. It is gorgeous and good for many occasions. And then we're going to combine that with Storybook Friends from the mini catalog, which is going on right now. So we're going to take Garden Green, and where did I set my stack of ink out of the way? We're going to take Garden Green ink, And we're going to ink up our tree branches. Let's do it the easier way. Let's take the pad to the stamp. Always easier when you're using a large stamp. And then we're going to set this a little bit off to the left or to the right and up. Okay, so we're just going to go kind of like, I think this about right here. And I'm going to let that sit because I am going through the holes on that arch, so I want that to get good contact. Let that sit for a second. And there we go. Okay, so we're done with garden green. Let's set that aside. Now we're going to go to early espresso and we're going to add our tree trunk in early espresso. I'm going to add this right in here. Okay. Set that aside. We're done with that. And then we're going to take some, let's see, we've got all these other colors here. And we're going to take some Summer Splash. Okay. And we're going to take the eggs from the Pick a Season. It's a trio of eggs here. And I'm going to stamp this set of Summer Splash down here. And this set up here. You need to turn these eggs to fit just right. Okay, so I've got that. Now I need to clean this real quick. So I'm just going to take a chamois, wipe over the top of that because we're done with the Summer Splash. And then we're going to take Pretty in Pink. Oh, we got some water on there. I need to get out and dry. Okay, then I'm going to take my Pretty in Pink. I'm going to ink that up. Put some Pretty in Pink. And some, hang on. How does this one go? Just like that. Okay, then we're going to clean this again. And we're going to take Highland Heather. Add this right here. And finally, Daffodil Delight. I'm just wiping that on that chamois, which is in front of me. And then we'll ink that up. Daffodil Delight. And there we go. Now we have a tree that is ready for Easter. Okay. Now let's go ahead and set our tree aside. And then we need some scrap basic white, which I actually already stamped and die cut, but you'll need a piece of scrap. You also need a second white die cut, which, where did I put that? I know I had it here. Okay, let's find it. I know it's here. Let's get it out of there. Oh, it's right here in front of my nose. Right here. Okay, so we're going to take this piece of white. This is going to be the inside of our card. And I'm going to show you what I did because I've already stamped and die and fussy cut the other part. So we're going to take the stone wall in basic gray. I didn't want you to have to watch me fussy cut, and I'm not. I don't need to fussy cut the inside, so I'm just going to stamp this and color it like so. And then I'm going to take, and I also need to stamp a couple of bunnies. So we're going to take our bunnies. We've got, this is for the inside. This one we're going to, I'm not even sure what this is, but it was cute, so I used it. Okay, so it's a little squirrel or something, not sure. And then you need a bunny, a little bunny. Okay, and then you also need one large egg in balmy blue. So basically you're just going to stamp sets of 3 of the eggs, okay? And you're going to do that in Pretty in Pink, Highland Heather, Summer Splash, and Balmy Blue. And of course you would do that at the same time you're doing those, so you don't have to redo everything. But I only needed single eggs, so I already pre-cut those, so you did not have to watch me fussy cut all those. And then we're just going to color these. Okay? So we're going to have a crumb cake bunny. Let's see, I might not have to color this bunny for you. I might not need to color the bunny. Here is the stone. Yeah, I don't need to color the bunny. Here's the stone wall that we're going to use, and here's our bunny that we're going to use. Okay, so we're going to add these to here, to that there. But I wanted to show you how I colored the stone wall. So we're going to bring in dark gray granite and, or the gray granite and granny apple green combos. And I'm going to start with dark gray granite. And I'm just going to color over here. And I'm literally just scribbling in some color here, going around the trees where there would be a shadow. It's a stone wall, and as we all know, rocks have variation in color, so this is the easiest coloring because you don't have to be perfect, right? It's a rock. So then we're just going to take our gray granite and color this in, making sure that we don't color in our tree. We have to be a little bit careful here. I think my gray granite's running out. I've used it a lot. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to take our dark granny apple green, and here I'm just going to, again, where the artist has some marks here, I'm just going to scribble some color. This foliage has different variations, so I don't need to be precise. And then I'll just fill that in. Okay. And here where I see I have a little bit of white, I'm just going to go back and dab in some gray granite there. Call that good. And then let's see. Oh, I didn't use this guy. I used the second bunny. I didn't use that guy. Oh, okay, we're going to use the second bunny. And the bunnies are crumb cake. So we're going to use some crumb cake. And we're going to use a petal pink here. Oh, I know why I did the wrong bunny. Okay, so this bunny is colored with the dark crumb cake and light crumb cake. So I put a little bit of petal pink there, put some dark accents, and then finished coloring it in. And this is actually for the inside here. And then we need this little, not this little bunny, the little bunny that has a jacket holding a radish. That's what we're looking for. Sorry about that, you guys. Grab me another piece of white here. This bunny is kind of important that we use him. Okay, so let's grab this and the basic gray. Oh no, actually I want Memento for this. Okay, so we're going to take the Memento ink. We're going to grab this bunny. It's important that we use the one with the radish, and you'll see in just a minute why. So on this guy, I'm going to start with his jacket. And for that, I'm using the Balmy Blue combo and Light Boho Blue. I'm going to start with the Light Boho Blue. And I'm just going to put that in the patches on his elbows and his pockets and his buttons. Okay. Then I'm going to go back with the dark Balmy Blue. And underneath his chin here, where there would be a shadow, put in a little bit of dark. Around his arm here, there would be a shadow. Okay. And then I'm going to finish it off with the light balmy blue. This is a very small area, so we don't need to get carried away with the blending. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's bring in that light petal pink. Put a little bit of petal pink in his ear here, and then a little bit of petal pink on his foot right there. Okay, and then we're going to take the light and dark crumb cake. I'm going to start with dark. Put a little bit of dark at the tips of his ears, where these artist marks are here. A little bit down here under his jacket, along his leg, and his foot, and there. Okay? And then we're going to finish it off with the light crumb cake. I'm going to leave the space around his eye white. I'm going to leave his nose white. Color in his hands. And I'm going to leave the tip of his toes white. Just like that. Okay? Now, I did not color the radish. Okay? I'm going to take and cut this guy out with the coordinating die from the Storybook Friends. Okay, so we'll grab, I think it's this one. Yep. Okay, so let's grab that one. And I'll put a little piece of washi tape on there. Move the rest of my blends out of the way. Set this up, these up. We'll grab the mini. And we're going to use plate 1, plate 2, our die and paper. We'll open this up and put in our sandwich. Oops. Oh, I'm glad I caught that. It moved on me. Okay, I'm going to add another small piece of washi tape or knit tape over here just to keep that from moving on me. Okay, after I got him all colored, I don't want to mess him all up. Okay, so now we've got that. And we've got our little rabbit here. All right. So now we're going to take our little rabbit, and I'm going to take my paper snips, and I'm going to go in here by his ears, come on down, come up his arm, okay, and go around his hand with my paper snips here. And then I'm going to cut off the tip of that radish, come around by his hand, or his paw, and then I'm going to go in here at the bottom of the paw, and I'm going to cut in. I'm not going to cut all the way because I don't want this to be two pieces. And then I'm going to remove most of that radish. And I got my die off a little bit, so I'm going to go ahead and trim up this excess white on this left side that I don't like. Okay, so this is what I have left of that radish. Not very much at all. Okay, so what I'm going to do with that is we're going to put this stone wall in here, and I'm just going to take a little piece of, I'm just going to put some Stampin' Seal and put my stone wall right in front of my tree, right at the base of those markings, so that you can still see the stitching lines. Okay, so we've got that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Hang on. Oh, see if we can get that back up real quick. We can. Boop. Okay. I actually want to cut off this little bit here. I'm going to take off that. Actually, I think I want to take off this one too. Take off that set of 4 stones. Okay, just like that. So that this is what I have left. And I can get rid of that piece. And then we're going to set this back down here. And I was able to do that because I did not use liquid glue. Okay, so now I've got my stone wall. Now I can take this little rabbit, and I'm going to take the lavender or the Highland Heather egg, and I'm going to maneuver this into Mr. Bunny's hand here so that it looks like he's holding that egg. And I think I need to cut off a little bit more of that radish right there. Okay, because I didn't like how that was looking. And then I'm just going to stick this egg in here. And when I finish, his little hand will look like it's right up there on that egg. Okay, just pull that down a bit, like so. Okay, and then I can take my bunny, put a couple of Stampin' Dimensionals here. And then I'm going to take a half of a mini and secure his hand to the egg on the back side. And then we'll add these. Oops. We'll add these two pieces right here. So it looks like Mr. Bunny just headed to the tree or away from the tree with an egg. Okay, so this piece now is ready to add to our card front. And we're just going to take this with a little piece of, with some Stampin' Seal. And add this in here and center it up. Okay. I'm going to take a little bit of Wink of Stella. And I'm going to quickly add just a little bit to the darker areas of the egg. I'm not doing the whole egg, just swiping, and then I'm going to go on a piece of paper and wipe off any color that might have been picked up before I move to the next color. Okay, that should be all of those. Okay, so the final thing that we need to add to the front of this card is the greeting. So we're going to bring back in that scrap piece of white. We're going to bring in the words Easter greeting. We're going to bring back in the early espresso. We're going to take Easter greetings. Oh, the extra yuck off of there. And we're just going to put that down, give it a good press, let it sit for a second, soak into the paper. And this is a really easy piece to fussy cut because we're just going to do straight over Easter. And then I'm just going to round the corner down here, go around the G, following the shape. I'm going to cut it straight across the bottom. And again, I'm going to round around the S. And come back up and round around the R. Okay, so there is our greeting. Get a few of these things out of my way here. And then we're going to take our Stampin' Dimensionals, and I can add 2 of those. Add this to the front of our card. I don't like the way that looks around the S, so let me trim that up. Okay. Whoops. Stuck. And then we're just going to put Easter greetings right up here. Need to get that. I didn't get that. Hang on. I didn't get this where I needed it to go. So we're actually going to take a mini because I need a little less there on that side. And the way I have this one set is a little bit different than my sample. So I want to make sure my greeting sits fully on the white and not over on the blue. Okay, So there is the outside of our card. I didn't think it needed any additional embellishments. So we're going to take this inside piece. We're going to pop up this little guy. We're just going to set him in here. Oh, actually, we're not going to pop him up because I don't like to pop up on the inside. But what we are going to do to give him just a little bit of dimension is we're going to add him with some double glue dots, some stacked. I'm just stacking 2 on top of each other, which gives a little bit of depth without adding a lot. And I want that one to go right there on top of the other one. So let's take this little guy, put him in here. Okay. And then we're going to take those other little eggs, which we already have on glue dots. And we're going to hide these, sort of. I'm going to put one there. And stick one over here. Looks kind of like that. And then we'll put the other one. Kind of like that. Okay. And then we're ready to add this to the inside of our card. Okay. There you have it. Now let's go ahead, and I have already done the envelope for this. So let's bring that in. And we added the tree to the front of that envelope. And there you have it. I hope you like that project and the ink smooshing technique and how you can get that to look. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging in there with me. I know it was a little bit longer, but the ink smooshing takes a little bit of time. And we call it ink smooshing, but if you watch Gina K Design, she calls it smacking acetate. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me. If you need to place any orders before the end of the month to get free celebration items, make sure you get those orders in so that you can pick up those free celebration items before it's gone on February 28th. And I will see you back here next Tuesday night at 7. I will also be live on Thursday night over on my YouTube channel. And be sure to like and subscribe. And let me know what you think. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks so much for joining me.